Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to Terrible Deck Tuesday. Thanks for clicking on the video. Today we're going to play Banette, Dragapult, Gardevoir. You know, it's just a fun deck. The idea in my head when I first built this deck was that you can item lock with Banette for a little bit while you slowly build up your board, and you can accelerate with Gardevoir to the psychic type Dreepies. But then I slowly ended up taking out all the rare candies, but the Gardevoir still felt fine in the deck for like the Kirlias for a little extra draw, and you have options to like retreat whatever's on your board. You can attack with Mew as well. But yeah, so Banette, obviously its first attack does 30 for a psychic, and your opponent can't play items next turn, so that's how we're going to slow down the game. The Shuppet also item locks on a coin flip, and it also allows us to play the non-EX Banette that has Puppet Offering, I think it's called, and it takes a supporter from our discard pile into our hand, and we just put the Banette and Shuppet into the loss zone. But the main attacker is the Dragapult for Fire Psychic 200, and we get to put 6 damage counters on our opponent's bench Pokemon however we want. The Drakloak also lets us look at the top 2 cards of the deck, one in our hand, one at the bottom of our deck. So it's just pretty good, like a good line. That's why we're not playing the psychic type Drakloaks. And Kirlia lets us discard a card from our hand, draw 2. Gardevoir, of course, lets us accelerate. We can attach psychic energy from our discard pile as many times as we want during our turn. We just have to put 2 damage counters on the Pokemon that we attach it to. And yeah, it's a deck. We're trying to go first, item lock with Banette, turn 2, and then just slowly set up our board until we can kind of sweep with Dragapult. So let's get on to the games. Alright, so this first game we are up against some deck with Brute Bonnet and Barbarrel. It ends up being, I think, Scolipede. The Scolipede has one of those attacks that like puts your active to 10 HP and then they poison to finish the knockout, which that should be a pretty good matchup. Scolipede's a stage 2. I'm just trying to set it up so I can item lock next turn. I wanted to grab Mew with that Ultra Ball to attach to the active and then draw 2, but of course it was prize, so now I'm just high rolling with the Drakloak. And yeah, it is that you see the little guys there that evolve into, I'm pretty sure it's called Scolipede. But this matchup could definitely go south real quick. What I'm thinking is to start item locking them and they can't rare candy. So I was hoping that would just win me the game, but they do grab a TM Evo here, so now I know that they are going to be able to evolve up without the rare candies, so gotta have a new plan, which what I'm thinking is I'm just gonna kind of boss up and Counter Catcher or whatever around and poke stuff until it has like a little bit of HP left, and then try to take a bunch of prizes at once with Dragapult while Ionoing them. And I got really lucky there with that Drakloak to get the Iono. Like, that's probably the only reason I'm really in this game at this point. And I'm debating here either attaching to get Dragapult ready for next turn, or if I want to retreat and coin flip with Shuppet to item lock. I was really hoping to hit the Banette, but I end up deciding that it's probably just worth it to go for the coin flip. Even if I don't hit it, they're just going to take 1 prize and I can just boss something next turn and actually lock them with Banette or Counter Catcher or whatever. But we do hit the heads. That is pretty lucky. Definitely needed that to happen, because this is like the perfect matchup that deck is looking for. Just a bunch of like 2 prizers. And they have like plenty of time to set up because it takes us a few turns to really get going. Just the item lock really isn't helping them. Yeah, I was looking at the Shuppet there because they added the new poison marker effect, or I've never noticed it. Maybe it's always been there, but it's like perfectly on top of the damage, so you can't see it. It's kind of funny. I keep like moving too close to the microphone. I think it makes everything too loud. But yeah, all I want this turn is like 1 Kirlia and a Banette EX. I was hoping to hit an Arven there off of the Drakloaks. That's why I didn't like Iono first. I didn't really want to disrupt their hand. They didn't do much last turn. And I get a Kirlia. I'd really like to trade into a Banette here. Get rid of the Drakloaks. I don't need that anymore. I only want to set up like 1 or 2 Dragapults and have the Drakloak on the bench. And I want to be able to stream item lock Banettes if I can, and also have an option on the bench for the puppet offering Shuppet or Banette. So we whiffed, but end up hitting another head, so it was kind of unlucky and unlikely for us to whiff the EX, so at least I get lucky there to flip heads. So I have Hyper Aroma and 3 or 4 Ultra Ball in the deck. There's pretty good odds that I drew into it, and it was close. We almost got to the Ultra Ball. I'm probably just going to refinement away the Artazon. I want to Heavy Ball for Mew, just to have that as an option to either draw with, or I could attack with it, but I don't really think that I'll end up attacking with it. Unless they put down a Greninja. If they put that down, I might want to attack with Mew. But can evolve up into Banette, get rid of the poison. I'm also going to leave the other Shuppet unevolved to leave the option open of the baby Banette, or have an option to evolve out of poison if I need to. And they're setting up to attack with the Brute Bonnet. That is a smart idea. That's going to one-shot all of my Dark Week stuff, basically. It's not going to one-shot Guardy, but it's going to one-shot the Banette with the poison. And it also lets it, or makes it so that they can retreat. So I kind of need to boss this turn, or I really shouldn't have bossed this turn. I do end up bossing this turn, but I think I should have just let them keep attaching and stuff, because I want to go behind in prizes. I want to have access to Counter Catcher. Like, my ultimate goal here is to, like, I would like to do 90 on the Barrel and then hit both of the Venepedes or whatever the baby dark Pokemon is for 60, and then try and wipe a bunch of stuff out with Dragapult all in one turn. But the math just doesn't math right for that, unfortunately. Like, hitting the 2 baby Pokemon for 60, leaving them both with 20 HP, is kind of my plan after knocking out this Barrel. Like I said, I want to go behind in prizes. I would like to have access to Counter Catcher. That is fine by me. I'm thinking about bossing here, but I just decide to take the knockout. Yeah, so that will let them take 2 prizes, but like I've said probably a million times now, that is fine by me. And sorry if my voice sounds weird. I feel like it's like super scratchy today for some reason. I think my allergies are getting to me. But yep, they do just draw, attach, and take the knockout. Now I'm going to Counter Catcher, or evolve Counter Catcher, Iono, and hit into those little guys. Another thing I was thinking about doing with that last hand was like Turoing back and forth, or Turoing up my Banette, but I think that really would just be a waste, because they can just one-shot me with the poison and the Brute Bonnet attack. And my opponent does something really smart here. Like, this is definitely a good player, because I don't know if a lot of people would think about this unless it was an accident and they just wanted to poison me. But poisoning their active doesn't hurt them at all. It actually hurts me, because it doesn't let me get it to 60. Now if I attack it again, it's going to get knocked out by the poison, and that's going to let them knock out my Banette. So that's really annoying. And I Counter Catcher the other one here, hoping that that was an accident and they didn't see that that was a like bad thing for me and good thing for them, but they do see it. It seems like that was the plan the whole time, and that is very smart. This is definitely seems like a good player just playing a fun deck, which is always cool. I hate running into people playing meta decks on the casual ladder. They do play like these terrible decks, or terrible deck Tuesday decks on the casual ladder. Everything else is on the ranked ladder, but this kind of stuff I just don't think is really gonna do. I'm just gonna get bodied on the ranked ladder. So it's cool to see other people messing around with fun decks on the casual ladder as well. And now they have like a pretty solid board built up, but I don't know. I think I'm down. Yeah, I'm down both my counter catchers. I would like to Iono them next turn when I attack with my Dragapult. It's kind of weird. I think I actually maybe mess up this turn. I do Iono them, but watching it back, maybe I should have Ultra Ball or use my baby Banette to get boss to bring up their Scolipede and knock out the Scolipede and the Venipede or whatever it is on the bench and make it so they can't really attack again. In hindsight, that definitely was a mistake. I don't know what I was worried about with that. Huh. Yeah, that's why I kind of like watching these videos back after the fact. It lets me see. It's always easier to like see what the correct play is when you're watching the game and not playing. I don't know why that is. I would really like to get to the point where I can see the game how I see it when I'm watching it while I'm actually playing it, but I do just Turo here. Luckily, they don't get the booster capsule to just win the game and attack with a fresh Dragapult. I don't know if it would have mattered if I attacked with the other one. It would give them another out to win the game, so I definitely want to Turo there. I just need them to not hit the tool and rare candy in the stage 2, which seems pretty unlikely that they do end up hitting that because they didn't have either of the pieces last turn. Or they might have had candy, Venipede or Scolipede last turn, but they didn't have the tool. So hopefully they just don't have it and I can end up winning this one. They're just, I don't know, probably just thinking, is there any way that I can win the game, trying to manifest new cards into their hand, but they're unable to do it. So we do end up taking down that fun matchup. Alright, so I do win the coin flip here and choose to go first. And starting Shuppet is always good, but not having another one in the deck is not the best. I prize 2 because I do play 3 and there's none in there, so that kind of sucks. I kind of made another little mistake too, or not a little mistake, that was a pretty bad mistake, was I got 2 Dreepies instead of 2 Ralts. I don't really know why I did that. I definitely should have got 2 Ralts or another Ralts with that Poffin, but I didn't, so we're here now. And yeah, I think I was like just thinking that I want to evolve the Dreepies quicker because they only have 60 HP, but I definitely want double Ralts down. I don't know, maybe it's not a mistake, maybe I'm just not thinking correctly, but my opponent has a pretty like ideal first turn. This is definitely what you want with the Regidrago deck. Get to use the Squawk energy switch, that's smart, so they definitely needed that this turn. I was hoping they wouldn't hit it so that the item lock would stop them from being able to attack next turn. But I hit the Psychic also off the trade, which that's why I traded first, because I wanted to see if I could draw into the Psychic or the Hyper Aroma. And then I could Arven for either Vessel or Hyper Aroma depending on what I hit off of the Refinement. And I did get the energy, so I just grabbed Hyper Aroma, and now I would really like to find a PAF in here to get another Ralts down, but if you don't get it, can't get them all, I guess. So I'm just going to attack for 30, and I don't believe they have any dragon Pokemon in their discard pile, so this should be hard for them to come up with a good attack here. And if they don't get into the Regidrago V-Star, they probably almost definitely, of course they're not, wow, that was really stupid. I was gonna say they can't attack with the V-Star if they don't get the V-Star, like, duh. But what I was trying to say is it's going to be hard for them to hit the V-Star, and the V-Star power is really how this deck gets going. And since I can't use Ultra Ball, it's harder to find the V-Star, so we got there, don't worry. And I drew Cloak into an Iono here. I was thinking about evolving and just immediately using the Iono, but my opponent did not do much last turn, so maybe I don't want to Iono. I kind of have everything that I want. Yeah, I don't really need much more. I get an Ultra Ball, so now I really have everything I want. I'm thinking about evolving just because I don't want my little guys to be knocked out, but my opponent shouldn't be able to do much next turn. I don't really know why I want to play this Ultra Ball so bad. Kind of curious about that. Oh, because I am Ionoing. Yeah, probably shouldn't have done that. Oh, alright. We got there, don't worry. I wanted an energy attachment. I wanted to find a fire to attach to the Dragapult, but I never found it. I needed the energy attachment so that I could attack with the Dragapult next turn. I didn't really want to attack with Gardevoir, because I'd probably have to put 60 damage on it, and that's not very ideal right now. So yeah, that's why I ended up Ionoing, and they immediately evolve into a V-Star, so it would have been nice if I just attached the energy from my hand instead of trading it. That was kind of stupid, because I'm pretty sure that I had a energy in my hand and I Kirlia'd it away. I don't know, my memory is really bad right now. But now my opponent is doing everything they want. They're relying on their V-Star to get a Pokemon that they want to attack with in the discard pile. And they're... oh no, they already had a Tina in there yet. And they hit the Tina off of the V-Star, and that was the only Pokemon they ended up having in the discard pile. So that's kind of cool. It gets rid of a couple of their energy. If I could like boss up this benched Regidrago, if I had one of my Shuppets not prized, I could have just kind of locked down the whole game and probably taken all my prizes with Dragapult at once. But unfortunately, the other Shuppets are prized. Both of them are. And yeah, it kind of sucks, but I do end up getting into the fire, and this is really what I wanted to do, was attack with my my Dragapult this turn. And this, I guess that's kind of the cool part there about the Gardevoir in the deck. I could accelerate to get an extra energy in play so I can threaten 2 Dragapults in a row, instead of where if I didn't have it, if they knocked out my Dragapult, I would not be able to use the Phantom Dive attack next turn. So I guess that kind of shows the what my thought was when like theorying this deck in my head originally, but then after building it, probably just a little too clunky. And now I am set up for a pretty good turn next turn with the boss in my hand. I can take 4 prizes and remove all their Regis from the board, as long as they don't evolve to another V-Star. And it looks like they have a research, so they're probably going to get into it, but I guess not. They end up conceding, and I wasn't too sure why they did it first, but now that I'm watching it back, I see they're like, oh, he's just going to get boss on my other Drago and knock out both of them, and then there's nothing they can do except attack with Teal Masks, which I could put 10 on both of those with my attack. No, I could put 10 on one of them, not both of them. But yeah, end up winning that one. There is, I don't know, I usually play just 3 games with the fun deck, and the other game I'm not even going to bother putting in here, or maybe I'll just have it playing in the background right now. I'm up against Greninja EX, and I go first, turn 2, I item lock them, and then they Irida for a Frostlass and a Poffin, and then they can't play the Poffin and they just concede. I don't know, it's probably not that funny to watch. I kind of giggled a little bit when it happened, because like I don't know, we all make those mistakes where you just like already have the plan in your head before the turn happens, and you don't factor in really like what they're gonna do. And I item locked them. Item lock's not common right now, so they didn't think about it, and then they couldn't play their card. But yeah, I don't know, maybe Banette is still really strong. I think it's like decent right now. I don't know if it's going to be good at all next format. I think the main thing that's been holding it back probably is its dark weakness, and the fact that you almost have to play the 60 HP Shuppet, because you need the option to item lock if you miss the EX or if you go second. And that's bad into Dragapult. If Charizard gets a Candy Zard off, you lose basically on the spot. There's nothing you can do. And if you knock him out, you have to break the item lock. So yeah, that's just a terrible matchup. It's kind of unfortunate, and there's no way to remove weakness that I can think of. And I don't know if you'd want to play more cards in the deck just to remove weakness, really with Banette, you want to play more like disruptive cards to kind of like try and trap something in the active. But I don't know. Yeah, it's always fun. I like the item lock decks. I think they're fun to play. I like the idea of Dragapult. It's a fun attack. Placing damage counters is always fun. You get to think a little bit and make cool plays. And yeah, so that's the deck. I had fun playing it. I've been playing it off and on the casual ladder for like probably a month now, and this is the list that I ended up on. I think I've won most of the games that I've played with it, but I don't think that means anything either. Like, it's just people messing around on the casual ladder, and it is a clunky mess, and if you don't get a pretty good starting hand, you just basically lose if you can't item lock them turn 2, or if the item lock doesn't affect them enough. Like, if they can just still pull off whatever their game plan is with their deck, you're probably going to lose. You're not going to have enough time to build up your backup guys. Yeah, either way, it's fun. Try it out maybe. But yeah, like or dislike and comment and subscribe. And have a good one.